Hey guys, what's up? So markets again looking pretty good today. I'm not going to do a huge analysis today. I'll just pretty much show you what I haven't watched. If you haven't watched an analysis breakdown, then yesterday I made one, and on Sunday I also made one. So essentially, just going off the bat of yesterday, we were looking at this to look at it two ways. It was either going to expand to the downside and continue like this, create continuation, and just kind of follow through. We didn't quite get that. What we did was we actually ended up continuing to the upside. So this isn't your this is one where I think a little bit more experience comes into play, because we have to understand the variation of patterns, but also the positioning of them, and understand that overall when you do zoom out, this is a corrective channel. So I think understanding that as in its own separate pattern compared to something like that is different, and then you can kind of pattern separate them and see what's what. So what we're seeing over here is that this ends up being one of its own, and then if that's the ascending, we could potentially see this as a potential base for us to then go long. So I was able to position myself in these areas. If you're wondering how I took it, I did take it on the hourly. I took it a little bit more on an advanced way, so I kind of got involved here, and then I was able to position myself just under there with around about 18 pips, and that's the trade that I'm involved in now. How I'm looking to take it is I'm actually just looking to hold that trade up until these areas here. Will it go much higher? Most probably. There isn't really any resistance to the left to really stop it. That's why this makes it a really good trade to take along, especially with the overall high time frame trend moving to the upside. It is corrective, so I'm not looking to be too aggressive with the position. The matter of me scaling is pretty much to this area here, so that's why I'm getting out there. But if I was to hold it, I would be holding it probably to these areas and potentially beyond. So just wanted to kind of point out as the first point. The second trade, which did potentially shape up here, was EG. So obviously, as we saw, we were looking at this in two ways: potentially a reversal where it comes back up, reversal, and it comes back up and creates continuation here to continue higher, which we would have potentially seen happen like that. But we didn't quite get that. So what we did get was something which we also understood was highly probable, was continuation. So there was two ways. On the being up on the month situation, I'd probably be happy to take a trade like that with 20 pips. More than happy to take that, hold that through the news. It is what it is. Take the trade, and then potentially ride it through. I can manage it to the low when it gets to these areas, lock in, break even, and then if it comes up for a 3-touch, cool, I can take it from there. The overall run wouldn't be very profitable because I did go in for a 20 pip stop loss. So that was the only other downside to it. And I think looking back on it, I would have preferred that refined entry. So what I did forecast for it was an insurance entry, which is more on the advanced side of things. So I'd have to go down to the 5. And what I'm really looking at is that the news comes out, pushes price up, comes in there, does this, comes down, and then creates something again down here, and we can go, and then we get the insurance here. So I don't want to really trade through the news, but I want to be looking at what happens after, and then that would still be valid. It just kind of essentially just comes up, takes a bit of a, even if it came all the way back up, I don't care, as long as I can get that insurance entry, a push down insurance entry, and then I'll be good, and then I can probably get that a little bit tighter. So what we would have been looking at for a 4% trade, realistically, I could probably get in a bit tighter. If I wanted to go extra protection within this scenario, I could 11 pips up here. Don't see it necessary. I could probably take this for around about 7 to 8 pips, 8 to be more certain with it, and then that trade actually turns into something which actually becomes a lot more appealing to me, because where I would see the ultimate 4%, this would have been 10, and then where I would have been managing to a 1.5% trade, this would be 3.5 really to this point. So again, you see how I can turn a trade that doesn't look so rewarding on a high time frame by using the lower time frames. I can get that, but you have to be very careful with it as well. It comes with experience, knowing when and where and what type of ways you're going to use it. In this particular scenario, I wouldn't want to be going all the way down to the 5, I'll be honest with you. I just think that looking at it from the 4-hour and the 1-hour, it looks okay, but I would have preferred this trade here. It's just I already had a trade open, and I would just take that as it is, and I'll take that 14 pips, trade it in there, 2 to that low, and then I'd be looking at probably 6 to the low, and I'll probably be out for about 4 there, and that would be the trade for me. that genuinely that would be it. But again, like I said, it's just sometimes it comes in with preference, what you're really looking for. Although I didn't take the trade, I'm still shadowing it, and I think that's something that every trader should really be doing as well, is that if you know you're going to take a trade but for whatever reason you didn't take it, it's always good to just understand it accordingly. So for me, the trade would be here, stop loss would be right about here, around about 14, 15, probably call it around about 15, and I'd be managing like this accordingly. So now I'll just leave it and I'll be practicing my management in these scenarios. So I know that this is the base, and as we approach the brace, I'll be moving to break even. Not now, but as we approach the base, and then otherwise if this did come up, then this would be a loss. But the interesting thing about it is it's not actually a loss, it's more of a learning loss, because I'm not actually taking it on live capital. But the CJ one, for sure, you know, I definitely fully 100% love this trade. I think everything about it just says, you know, this is a trade that I would personally say is a risk worth taking. You know, even if it developed and got a little bit more messy and it took me out, I would 100% look back on that and I'll be like, this is a great trade. This is a really good trade. So so yeah, just putting that on my belt. So today I'm probably going to do something slightly different. I might just pick a pair and do some testing on it. I want to pick a pair that I haven't really done much testing on. We can see Bitcoin phenomenally just flying 88,000 now. Fully anticipated as well. You know, that's the very interesting thing about it, is that we, from all the way down here, is where, you know, we knew, you know, 20 to 80, like, that's phenomenal returns. It's just one of those things where you're undercapitalized and couldn't take advantage of it. That was my situation, where I did have money, but I didn't have the money to be putting into BTC. Whereas I wish I was in the position where I could have taken advantage of it, because it would have furthered me closer to where I would have wanted to be financially. But again, not really a big deal. It is what it is. Moving into the pair we're going to choose, I think we'll do a forex pair, and I'll just pick it at random. Let's go GBP CAD. GBP CAD. Okay. So I'm going to do some testing on GBP CAD. So I'm just going to pause the video here, come back, and we'll crack on with GBP. Okay, so we can do some testing. Let's go over to our back testing pairs. Yeah, we're not going to do a stock. We're going to do one of these. Let's just go pick something at random. And yeah, cool. GBP CAD. Why not? And then let's go to the daily. I think we did do GBP CAD a while ago. Whew. Do you know what? We could actually go through this, where you can actually see some of my testing on it. Didn't even know it was on there. So a while ago, maybe I made a video about this. I'm not too sure. But there's a lot of trades going on here. Okay, let's rein it back. Let's start from here. So essentially, what do we see? So we analyze this side of price. It's just been corrective. It's just been very corrective. Let's get into the 4 hour. We can then see that price has then been in a trend to the downside. It's basically found a base there, nothing significant, and then it's just pushed away. So essentially, now what we're going to do is we're just going to have a little look at how price has been moving. So price has been dropping off. It's broken below these areas. It's coming into this area as a base, and then we have that as the area of interest. So I will be marking that point on, just because we want to see how it responds to this area. And then on the way down, we can see that price is going. So we're looking for continuation. There's nothing here significant. On the 4 hour though, we did have this near misses, taps in, and then rejects. If I get in a little bit closer on the 1, we can then see that we had footprint, the miss again, came in correctively, created a base, came in correctively, tapped in, and then we had the retrace right there, and then we pushed away. You can see from the purple sell symbols that this is from 2023, because that's basically the colors coordination I had. And then yeah, so then we rejected there, took the entry, and then that would have been the one that ultimately ran for 4%, managed into this low with this one for 3. Then we went into a large correction, into another correction where it's then getting a little bit more messy. as price played on, the same pattern pretty much formed again, and then we got it. This one's a lot more higher risk as well. I mean, if you were to just take a trade, then it would be there, but again, it's not one that I would take now looking back on it, because it's just such a risky one, to be honest. You're looking at it and it's within this, and yeah, that's a really risky trade. So I'm surprised that at some point in my journey I was definitely looking at those. Then we play it through, and yeah, looking back on that, there's an interesting trade there. So price created a footprint here where we'd be looking to see if we gravitate back towards it. Price is then correctively moving to sidewards. I think the 1 hour is still too zoomed to be analyzing, so we're going to go back to the 4. And then we're having a little look over here. Price is then scooping back up. It did respond to that little print there, so potentially there would have been a trade to be looked at in this area. Let's have a little look. In here, price pushed. In here, yeah, I would have taken that trade right there. With experience now, I would have seen this. Price tapped into this area. Then I would have seen price kind of squeeze here. And then I would have seen that as the retrace, and then the reduced risk entry was tagged right there, and that would have been the trade. Ultimately, I would have taken a break even on it, but there would be the trade that I would have taken. And then we tapped into it again, and then we did the same thing again. Wow. Over there. And would I take it? Probably not. Probably wouldn't want to take that trade. But given, yeah, I wouldn't. I would leave it. Then we go back to the 4. Play it out. It's then basically creating this ascending, similar to what we're seeing with CAD again. And then we tapped into the 4 and we got a 4-hour entry there. On the hourly, did we get anything? No, it's still a bit of a squeeze there, and the protection wouldn't have been the best. But you could argue the trade on the hour. I think it's just much more clear on the 4. And it's just responding off that as well. So yeah, you'd basically have to see it through there. What about within that price action there? Could I have argued a trade in there for the base? So that give or take, it's a difficult one to say. And then yeah, just basically dropped off, and then you'd manage it for 2%. Bit unfortunate. I think you'd want to go a bit tight. If you're going to take it, you might as well take it. But yeah, 2%. Yeah, it's okay trade. I mean, I would have preferred to go to the 5 and have a little look. No, nothing jumps out to me. There's nothing there. Go back to the 4, and then I'd let that play out. Wow, there's a lot going on here. It's actually quite weird to reanalyze something I've analyzed before with a new set of eyes. Pushed up, retested that, pushed down, and then create the base. We've took the entry there. That ran for a 4% trade. Wow, decent. Another trade in there, which ultimately 1.5 or break even. I think at that point there, you take the break even. It's interesting that I think about it now, because I've experienced trades like this, and then we've had the scaling, and then I've realized that because I've just taken call it a 4% winner, I've then been more lenient with the scaling, and then that one is materialized into the break even. Whereas, yeah, you could be looking at it on here as a 5.5, but in reality, it's actually just a 4% trade and a break even, because I'm looking to just play the move, and I've got, let's call it levels of adrenaline, or you're thinking of things in a complete different way. Whereas when you're in the moment and you're making money, you're going to be more on the side of abundance, and yeah, there's plenty of trades, this and that. But when you're losing money, and sometimes you go into the mindset of I need to do things quicker, I need to push time frames, I need to get back to where I was, this and that. And that's the fine line difference between someone successful and someone who's trying to become successful and they're struggling. We'll just play this out a little bit more. A lot of these trades actually look like they'll take it on the 4. Yeah, so there's potentially a trade in here. into the inflection point. That would have been poor. That would have been managed wrong. I would have probably had that at break even. Yep, and then we broke, and then I'd move it above here for 3 point something. Likewise, I don't know what type of trade I took in there, but we're seeing this. And then yeah, so a trade that I would have walked away 1.5, easily I would have walked away with 3.45. So that's that, and this trade would have ran for 2.5, 3.5, yeah. That would have probably been, call it what it is. Yeah, that's interesting. And I think I would have saved myself a loss as well. These two, oh my god, break evens, losses, whatever they are, I wouldn't have taken those. Definitely, maybe on the side that price pushing up, pushed. Nah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's very tricky. I mean, I'm not going to remove things actually. I'm going to leave them on there so I can actually reanalyze in the future. But anyway, let's crack on with this. So we technically have the 1, 2, 3. We have the rejection here. What's happening? Why is there no trades being taken? Let's have a little look. The 1 hour, that's where we're looking at main focus. 15-minute push down. Things are looking pretty interesting. Let's go to the 5, get this refined. Let's see, do we have a trade in here? More than likely, I'm looking at this point here, but let's have a wait and see. Do we push? How do we move? How do we move? This is the interesting part about price. Let's let that play out a little bit more. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm looking at that point above. Where's the base though? Come on, I need a base. There we go. Are we creating the base to go up high? Yes, perfect. Exactly what I want to be seeing. All right. So we are still on the 5, so I'm going to go back to the 15 because it is slightly larger. And let's leave that a few more candles. Okay, perfect. Have we retraced the majority of this? Yeah, borderline. I would say that actually is possibly worth the entry. Why not? 20 pips, 18.8, play it through. And there we go. Got break even locked in now. I'm managing on the wrong time frame. Let me go back to the 1. And let's have a little look. Oh gosh, what was that running? Didn't even look at it. We're running all the way around about 2.9, probably borderline 1.5 locked in, and we would have been taken out. So there was a trade there. And then we're coming back up. I think the signs of it coming back up probably, as we've seen, it's probably going to come all the way back up for an M star. So let's have a little wait and see. I've gone back to the 15 because I just want to see something. And yeah, price did continue moving sidewards. At that point there, yeah, you know when price is coming back up like that, that's just way too large for it to be what it is. So we are looking at that M star. So we go back to the 1 hour, play that through, let it. Oh, damn, I went too fast. Let me rein that back a bit. So we came up here. This is the time where you're looking at this as the overall larger structure, the liquidity sitting on that ray line, borderline. We're looking at this point of interest and we want to see how it responds. The 1 hour looks good, but that's not enough for us to take the entry. We then look back on the 15, have a little quick glance on the 4, and the 4 is looking good because we've pushed up bullish, yes, but at the same time we've wicked through it. We've done a lot and then we've closed below. We go to the 1 hour and we can see similar price action. I go to the 15 and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, that's good. So previously I did take an entry there, which I think is more risky. Doesn't need to be taken. I'll go to the 5 now with experience and then I can actually get a more refined entry. So I'm just going to rein that in a little bit more just so it's out of the way. And I'm looking at this and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give it one more candle, get tagged in. And yeah, so borderline, I'd probably just set my entry just there. 16, I'd say around about 15 pips. And if I get tagged in, so I haven't been tagged in just yet, but now looking at that, I'd probably set my entry a little bit higher up now and probably get a tighter stop loss. Now I know that seems a bit crazy, let's wait and see. Yep, I've just been tagged in. and then at that point there where we've broken that low, we're running 1.5. I'd probably be looking to move to break even, yeah, I'm break even now, definitely. And we're moving, so we'll move with this. This is now running 2.7. I'd probably lock in about 0.5% just in case it does come up. 0.5% locked in, let that run. Okay, now we're running around about 5% ish. I'd probably want to be a little bit more conservative now and just lock in 3 and then let that run a little bit more. Borderline, this is GBP CAD, I don't know what the spreads are like, but this is coming up a little bit higher. There's signs at this point here, I'd be looking at it and I'd be like, well, you know what, this could do something like that easily. Just tag me out slightly. So from 3, I'd probably just want to lock in about 2.4 and just let it be. Just give it some extra room. And borderline just almost got tagged out on that one. So the fact of the matter is we did come to the bottom of this consolidation here, and I would personally not want to be the person who locks in his profit too aggressively, but I know that let me just have a look. Yeah, I know that that is a little bit too aggressive. Now I've kind of got it there. It's one of those ones where price is probably just going to come up and tap that piece of liquidity. So because I've gone for the 2.5, you know, it's nothing. It's really nothing. I'm just going to leave 1% locked in. And I know it sounds so crazy because I'm running 6 and now I'm going to be going back with 1. It's just a situation I had to deal with. And oh, okay, perhaps maybe subconsciously there was a small clue there, but with the 1% there, it's now sort of, because look, the truth behind it is when you look at it, you can see clear as day that there's the potential for price to do so much in this area, especially when you leave a small footprint like that. It's likely we're going to take it out, and we're not just going to tap it, we're probably just going to wick through it and then drop off. So what happened was we did that, and then if you wanted to, you could really just argue the trade there, but I don't think we're going to argue the trade there. We're still in this trade now, and we're going to see how this plays through, so we're going to let that go. And now when we're running around about 11%, we finally got our 10% trade there, we can now lock in a little bit more conservative. I'd probably go 8%, really and truly, just because of how it's been moving. That's dropped off. I'm going to go a little bit more aggressive. I'm going to lock in 10. And then we're going to play that through and let that do its thing. How much was it running ultimately? We got 10 to the fine line difference of 15. I'll be honest with you, I'll probably go 13 and get taken out of that trade. Really and truly. I don't see any reason other than, yeah, I don't want to really be holding through some nonsense. Let me have a little look. Yeah, I'm taking that, I'm walking away. So 13% on that with experience. And yeah, like sure, it probably will drop off at some point, but I'm happy with the 13. Hook point, obviously we can see structures forming, we're coming into it. There we go, there is the trade. Why did I not take that trade? Let's have a little look. 15 minutes, okay, it is pushing away a little bit more. We've tapped into that. It's really even given us a head and shoulders sort of feel to it as well, which is interesting. There's context to this. Let me go to the 5. Okay, I'm gonna wait for more for AFT entry on this one again. So we're gonna wait. Did take a trade on this previously, which then materialized, but do you know what? I'm just gonna rein that one in again as well. I'm looking at this as sort of the liquidity area, the base, and I want to see a trade within that range there. So let's have that play. Perfect. Okay, so that's the trade I'm looking at. This is on the 5 minute though, so let me just have a quick glance on the 15, and it's sold off, but you know, there it is. That is looking okay, because when you look at it from a high time frame perspective, that scooped up, that took out that piece of liquidity, so that had its purpose over here. Obviously there is a level of bias because we know it's going to short, so you know, you can't completely say this is pure skill, because we do kind of know what's really happening because we're reanalyzing something we analyzed before. But then again, if I just play the next candle and it's all the way down here, so the trade would have really been taken around about here, set, and 15 pips. Probably it's not really required, but given the time of day, it is around about 6 o'clock. It's coming into the evening as well, so it's one of those ones where, you know, here would have been okay because you're taking it borderline 4 o'clock. Over here, you're taking it a little bit within the day. But anyway, let's play that out. And stop still at break even, to be honest now. Stop loss at break even. And let's have a little look. Yeah, so over the evening would have been tagged out. Oh, into the morning. So you would have been asleep. And then we're waking up around about here. So I'll be waking up shortly. Yep, you wake up around about here. See, you've been taken out for break even and it's continued moving to the downside. And you can see this piece of price a little bit better as well. So that's interesting that that shaped up. And yeah, you know what, it's one of those ones where if you were awake and you saw this shaping up, you wouldn't have reined your stop loss in straight away. I think as well, perhaps maybe I was a little bit too quick with the stop loss. Where at what point? So this, yeah, roughly around about 8 o'clock. Yeah, I'm moving to break even. That's a break even for me. And then let's play that out. Now that's interesting. What did we do? We came in and retested it. I'm looking on the 5 minute, aren't I? I'm going to go back to the 15. Play the next one. Ooh, what did I just do? Let's go here. Great, that was news. And then it just plummeted. Oh my god, what would that have been if I left that open? Yeah, around another 8-9%. Big trade there, but that was a break even. And then this one, ultimately, I did say I would take for a 2%, which I think pulled back at some point here and then took me out. Yeah, so that was a 2% there, but within there was a break even. So again, it's interesting. We're seeing the variation of the skill set, how I'm looking at things, and you can see how even so, this one trade required so much patience, and I stayed out of a lot of stuff, but I understood where we are, the positioning, how I'm going to be taking it, and I was able to take advantage of it. Now there was a few more trades along the way. I don't think I'm going to go off and analyze all of these because you can see there's actually quite a lot to do. But again, it was a pretty good quick session there. Managed to catch a 13% trade, a couple break evens, I think even a loss. I'm not sure if I took a loss, but it was there. So yeah, guys, ultimately, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.